Welcome to Reflections, a program where we discuss values and virtues for the transformation of the individual and the society in general. I am Father George Ehusani, and I have with me Dr. Oluwafemi Opadotun.
Yes, sir.
Opadotun. Opa has become new, right?
Yes, sir. Renewed.
That's the staff of office.
Yes.
Has become
renewed.
It's renewed.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
Congratulations
sir.
for the renewed staff.
Yes.
Great. So Dr. Opadotun is from Babcock
University Teaching Hospital.
Babcock University Teaching Hospital. You teach in the university?
I'm a medical doctor, then I also teach medical students as well.
You teach medical students. That's great. So you deal with young people, right?
Yes, sir.
The people in your school, because it's not just those you teach, but the people in your school are often between the age of 16 and 25.
Give or take. Recently, even though they insisted on 16, but somehow we keep seeing 15-year-olds still coming.
So between 15 and 25, that 10-year period.
Yes, sir.
And those are some of the most critical years in a young person's life. Most
I
formative,
agree.
where they can easily be influenced for good or for ill. For good or for ill.
Yes.
Those are years that young people begin to revolt against their parents and the values the parents stood for.
Exactly.
Those are years that they seriously need mentors. If they are lucky, they fall into influential peer groups of people who are well brought up, and then they get reinforced in the right values. If they are not lucky, they fall into peer groups and whatever that terrible children from dysfunctional families or whatever. Now, what do you think of character formation for people in this critical age that are students in your school and elsewhere? Sorry, not just your school. What are the challenges that we have for character formation in the university level and outside the university for young people of that age in this generation?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me start by this. There's a saying that charity begins at home.
Charity begins at home.
So, like we've been saying, the primary teacher of any child or children
supposed to be
the parents. Right from the time the child is in the mother, we've been told, sing to them.
Talk to
them. As you are praying, they are hearing you. Everything you are saying, they may not be able to respond. At times, they actually respond by kicking. I think there are some studies to corroborate that.
They are getting something.
So it's what they've been hearing you saying. By the time they are born, the way you continue to relate to people around you, they are watching. They say people learn more by what they see
than what
they say. Yeah. You can tell your child whatever you like. If you are doing opposites, he will actually follow the opposite rather than what you are telling him. So I think the first point is that the parenthood or the family has actually lost their role. Because of work in quotes, the father goes out morning, doesn't come until 9. The same thing with the mother. The children are left with nannies or they're actually left on their own.
Nannies that had no special training.
Exactly. And that's why most of them are molested and a lot of evil that nannies do. I think we watched a video maybe last year about a nanny that was kicking the child like a ball. Yes. If not for CCTV, nobody would have known what happened. Mm-hmm. So that's where the problems start from. Another thing, in my place there's a saying that 2 eyes like this or a pair of eyes give birth to a child, but takes like 10 pairs to train the child.
That child, yes.
There's what we call communal rearing or policing of children. Then, even if the parents are not at home, the next door neighbor, the woman selling something can correct the child and nobody will frown at it. But now you dare not beat another man's child.
You take it up with
Exactly. No matter what the child has done, they will tell you, I don't beat my child. Don't put my children's skin in your hand. What right do you have to be my child or to correct my child? So, those things are the genesis of the problem, because the parents are not at home for whatever reason, whether right or wrong. There's nobody to correct the child. The child feels free to do anything. the people that are seeing cannot correct because they know if they do so, the parents will come back and fight them or anything. They can't even report the child. And during the formative years, if there's nothing to correct or to control what happens, they say the heart of a child is like white something. I've forgotten the Latin name. So anything that is available, tabula rasa, yeah, anything that is available is what is written there. The parents are not there to write anything, and it's just the society, whatever they see around, that is writing like a software for the child to work on. And so that's where the problems start from. Secondly, move forward to primary and secondary school. While we were growing up, I dare not get home and tell my parent that a teacher beat me in school. That's another beating entirely. The next thing will be, what did you do?
Because your parents will know that you merited that
exactly.
beating.
The next thing will be, what would you do? And I just can't say it. So I'll just take it like that. And I know that I can't do anything because the teacher will beat me at home and I can't say at home. So I just learned to behave right. But these days, most private schools, teachers must not beat the children. If you do so, you are in trouble. My cousin worked in, I won't mention the school, one big private school. Once the students are behaving and you're frowning your face, you want to do anything, uncle, you can't beat me. So he's trying to tell you that respect yourself. If you do so, either they sack you suspend you, or take you to court. So the children are free to do whatever they like at home. They are free to do whatever they like in school. So who is there to control them or to tell them the right thing to do again? Because the parents are failed. And even in church as well, obviously someone that is not beating his children, you can't say because you're a children teacher in school you want to beat them. That's another problem entirely. So at home, no correction. In the school, no correction. Even when they get to church as well, nobody's correcting them.
Some people think that beating children is child abuse. But aren't there modalities, mechanisms to discipline children apart from, let's say, the kind of beating that some people have called abuse? And there are other ways of disciplining children? I mean, scolding children terribly, deprive children of certain pleasures, remove the iPad from the child for some time, deprive the child of that favorite
toy or TV show
or television show or whatever. There are ways of disciplining children.
Yes.
But today, what you are saying is that we just indulge them.
Exactly. We allow them to go through life with little or no control.
And with little or no control, the human being is an animal, by the way. And many parents don't know that the human being is an animal. The animal can grow to be wild.
Exactly.
And it is domestication that makes us behave different from the wild animal.
Yes.
And what does that domestication entail? It entails discipline. So, what do you think is wrong for this generation of parents, today's generation of parents who frown so much at anybody helping them to discipline their children, and yet they are not there, they are not available to discipline their children? What's wrong with them? And are they not able to see that the consequence is already out there? The society is breaking down.
I think it's a society, but let me start from this way. There's a difference between correcting
A child.
punishment or punishing an abuse.
Yes.
When you are beating or let me choose this one. When you are correcting a child, either you are beating whatever you are doing, let the child know why you are doing it.
And it is measured.
And let the child know that it's in love. Okay, you did this. Like when we were growing up, my dad does not usually beat us. In quotes, it's not as if he doesn't beat us. When he's going to beat us, myself and my brother will know already we've passed our boundary and we're actually expecting it. Because what he usually says is that he knows that in school he'll be beaten. I don't want you to come home and find an hostile environment, beating at home, beating in school, beating at home. So there are some boundaries, there are some things if we do, most times he talks to us, and trust me, I don't like the words at times. But when he's going to beat us, we already know that we've passed our boundaries, and this time around we merited it. So even while beating us, he will let you know this is why I'm beating you. It's not as if I'm wicked. So either you are beating a child or you are withholding some things the child like as a form of punishment, let the child know that I'm doing this from the position of love. Not like I hate you, and it's not like you are beating or anything you see you throw at the child. That's abuse, not punishment, and not correction again.
And this is part of what led to the hue and cry about beating children.
Exactly.
Because some people did it with anger.
Exactly.
I mean, a 5-year-old child, you a 40-year-old, you are beating with anger, then you can do a lot of harm.
Exactly. My wife worked in a primary school, and he told me, I think last week or 2 weeks, just narrated a story that a 4-year-old boy and I think another girl were fighting somehow. They get threw sand in the boy's eyes, and somehow the boy was crying. The father came to pick the boy, and he was like, what nonsense is this? I was expecting they are going to tell me that you've beaten the other girl, and the other girl is now in an hospital. That's what I was expecting. And he was beating the boy. That why would a girl be beating you? Or why will another child be beating you? A 4-year-old. And he was beating, not really beating, was actually torturing the child.
That's inculcating in the child male chauvinism.
Exactly. No, not even about me, that somebody else beats you. You should be the
and more, then he said, "What, still a girl beat you?"
Yeah. And the worst thing is there's a difference between beating, the way it was fighting a 4-year-old boy, not even 10, not even 15. So that is not correction. That is torture. And that's what the advocates against corporal punishments.
That's what they are about.
That's what they are about.
Yeah.
Then another thing, back to your question, most times when parents beat children or correct them, they don't know why they are doing it. I'm beating you, okay, you are correcting me or you are beating me without telling me what I've done.
That's not
By
correct.
the time I have the freedom, then you've not told me what I've done wrong. So when I'm free, I'll do it again. And there's nothing you can do. So that's why, because right from childhood, some were not corrected. Even those that were being beaten were not told the reason why they are being beaten or punished. So when they get to school from 15 to 25, which is the age you can call the age where they revolt, one, they have some freedom, they're out of the house, so there's little or nothing the parent can do again. And so what those things they've not been able to do, or those things they've been told not to do but not told why they should not do it, they start to question.
Experiment on them.
Like my wife was telling me when she was growing up that don't move close to a guy, you will get pregnant, and those things like that. Just like that. And people get to school, move close to a guy by just touching or shaking, and he's not pregnant. Okay, so that means what those they be telling me are lies, and that's the problem. So why teaching or telling them, we should let them know what's the issue. Okay, don't do this because of this. And if the person understands, even the person travels abroad or anywhere, he knows the right thing from the wrong thing.
Because the foundation was laid
and was correctly. Very solid.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about influence from outside. We have talked about failure of family, failure of parentage. What about the influences that we are receiving today from social celebrities, sports, music, movie celebrities that are so powerful, such a powerful influence on our young people, and many of them have little sense to communicate, little values to communicate to our young people. How would you deal with that kind of situation?
I'll still go back to the reason I gave initially. Why people are growing up, they were not really taught or brought up in the right way. Like, just like we said, a tabula rasa. The child just keeps growing up with the parent is not writing the right thing. The church or the mosque, whichever one, are not writing the correct thing. So when the girl go out, it's these celebrities and quotes that they see. And that's what they are copying on that blank cardboard or board. So it's what they see outside. That's like a form of teaching, because the parents are failed, the society are failed, and they go on internet, they see the way these people are doing their hair, the way they are dressing, and a lot of things, and they copy it. They see all these music stars smoking, drinking, then they think, oh, and this guy is successful, then that means whatever he's doing is right.
I see young people, I don't know if you have seen those pictures. I didn't know until very recently what is called shisha. So I now see pictures on the internet of young people, secondary school children, primary school children, university, that are smoking, and I'm told that they are not just, it's not just cigarette, that there are chemicals
that's a bad combination.
That
some
there are
chemicals
chemical
that
drugs,
psychoactive drugs, psychotropic drugs.
Psychotropic. So simply by peer influence, doesn't that mean that these children grew up without self-worth and self-esteem and a sense of their own identity? That's why they can so easily follow some stranger out there.
Okay, like when we were growing up, myself, my friends, and people of my age, because our parents are there to like correct us and tell us what to do. Though that doesn't mean everybody turned out well, but at least there was a solid foundation. So when we got out, no matter the pressure we find ourselves with, once in a way we wonder a little, but we always come back. Because the foundation was solid and it was easy to build on it. If we had not been brought up well, then anything with people doing outside will have copied, and there will not be a way back. So people that were nobody really there for them, or even the parents, even most children that come to our school, what we've discovered now is primary school boarding house, secondary school boarding house. If I can say like half of the students, their parents are probably abroad, so that means they're on their own. So nobody have their time. So it's when they get to school, the few ones that are lucky to fall in with good friends, they get influence to be good. But majority that are falling with bad people, then it's whatever they see that they copy.
When I was 17, 18 years old, that's when my classmates went to the universities. The university was a place for adults. And the 18-year-old that gets into the university, or 19-year-old in those days, because people used to go to HSC, higher school, after secondary school before going, there was a level of maturity. I mean, there was a university culture where you had postgraduate students and the way they conducted themselves, and you had undergraduate students, the way they conducted themselves. We didn't have people who behaved like area boys, you know. Right now, maybe because of the proliferation of universities, we now have the age of people. You are talking of some 15-year-old people who have not received proper parenting, and then thousands and thousands in this university community, and it's a wild world. Under those circumstances, how, in spite of all you have said, how do we achieve some measure of repair? The opportunities I have had to speak to university lecturers, I have emphasized to them that they should know that their task is reparenting, recognizing that many of these children, as we have described, have not been properly parented. To what extent do your colleagues in the university recognize that they have a task of reparenting?
Okay, just like you said, by virtue of interacting with them, a lot of things we've seen, we've come to the conclusion that, well, whatever they've been taught at home, or however they've been brought up at home, at school they are with us now. We are like their parent, and the onus lies on us.
Correct.
To reconfigure. Those are on the right path to make them get better. Those are on the wrong path to bring them back. And that's so good. Where I work is a Christian school or a missionary school. So there's actually what we call like a congregation. No. In the morning before work starts, we'll gather morning devotion. We'll gather to pray and a little preaching before everybody goes. Even in the evening, students will still have to go for the same prayer section. That's just trying to bring them up, to show them that before you start anything, put God first. At least when you call God, you can be sure that the day is kind of like secured, and that you know that whatever you want to do, there's this God factor, which is the first thing. So that is also trying to reorientate them. Some of them do not even know God, don't know about them, but if they keep doing it every day, there's a way that whatever we continue doing, we get used to doing it, and that's to help them. Then every lecturer, every doctor, whoever you are, as long as you are relating with those students, we keep telling ourselves, and they keep telling us that they are here with us, and it's our responsibility, both as doctors, lecturer, whatever, on earth, and even when we get to heaven, because anybody we have a chance to encounter, there's no accident encounter.
No, it's all part of.
So there's a reason why God brought whoever to come to me. There's a reason why God brought them to us, and we have a role and a duty to play on them. And over there, when we get up there, we'll give account of what we'll do to any one of them. So just like you said, it's our responsibility to reteach them, to reorientate them, and to reconfigure them and bring them up in the way of the Lord.
Because you see, the thing is, I have now seen, I do a lot of work with young people, and I have come to see that many young people are perpetrators of evil, but also they are victims of evil. They are both perpetrators and victims. And they are more victims than perpetrators. Then they find themselves in a nearly totally broken down society. I mean, we just think about when you are a child growing up, and see in the few years in between, see where we are today in terms of what schools look like, what discipline looks like in schools. So a lot of the problems we are seeing are not just problems with this individual child. It's a problem with a broken down system. And so I consider that mentoring is one of the greatest challenges of anyone working in a university today. Is there any structure, program? I mean, you've told us how, they pray in the morning, pray in the evening, and so on. For direct mentoring, one-on-one. I mean, some universities in America have some mentoring program where a lecturer is responsible for these 5 students throughout their stay. You understand?
Yes.
So he or she has the opportunity to influence, and the student has the responsibility, the obligation to see that lecturer at least once a week. Now, I know it may not be there right now, but what dimension of that do you think is possible in our universities, to have responsible men and women who are lecturers, who are in the administration, and then who can adopt some students and do some deliberate
mentoring? Okay, like what we have in my school, we have what we call student support. They are trying their best, and the student population is more, but even at that, every student cannot be, like, how will I put it, cannot be followed up. But if they notice any deviation from normal of any form with any student, be it academical, be it moral, be it spiritual, anyone, they took those ones up. There are some students that are actually attached to some lecturers, but it's not done for all the students. But once anything is identified, the student support.
I know it involves some costs. It will involve some cost, but don't you think it is something desirable for universities, especially universities like your own that are not among the poor universities, to have programs where for mentoring children? Like you said, some of those young people in your university, the parents are not even in the country. They were put in somebody's house, and the parents overseas, or they are actually overseas and they are sent here to do university so as to get some culture, some African culture. To actually have some kind of deliberate program, not just lecturers, because they may not be many enough, but to actually bring people from outside who may have counseling interaction session once a week with 3, 4, 5 students. And I think that such a thing, if we are not to harvest a totally destroyed generation in future, what do you think? That such a program deliberately put in place by university authorities?
I think I'll be in support of that. It's a nice innovation, something that we should look at and not look at alone. Work on it and make it work.
Work on it and then invest in it. Like I said, okay, let's say you have lecturers are often very busy. Let's say you have 100 staff in the university, and then you are talking about 5,000 students, for example, and they are overwhelmed. But you have professionals, responsible men and women in the town nearby who can be recruited. Some will even do it free of charge. Yes. Some will be ready to do it, because a woman who has a daughter, 18, 19, going to the university, will be happy to support another woman's daughter.
Exactly.
So maybe when you have opportunity to put this before your colleagues and then school authorities, to think of that, because the future is in jeopardy if we do not work hard. There are people who are ready to mentor our children for us.
Yes.
The celebrities are all over the
They're
place.
actually doing it.
They are doing it. And then Instagram is very close by. Twitter is very close by. Facebook is very... TikTok. So if we do not put in place structures to get our children back, it is these people that will raise them. So I pray that you will have opportunity to... Now, what do you think? I know you have not finished the program on gender-based violence, eliminating gender-based violence you have come for, but from what you have got so far, a last word on what do you think you're taking back?
Okay, I'll try and find a way of simplifying it or summarizing it. It's something that I know that it exists before, but now my eyes are opening to it in a wider view. I'm seeing new dimensions of it. A lot of things that I never considered to be part of this sexual and gender-based violence. I'm now enlightened to know more about it and to make a commitment that in my own little capacity, I'll find a way to make it stop. The little contribution I can make, at least to make a difference,
I will.
I will do that.
On this note, we'll be bringing this program to an end. I have been speaking to Dr. Oluwafemi Opadotun.
Yes, sir.
Good pronunciation.
Yes, sir.
I've been speaking to Dr. Oluwafemi Opadotun, a doctor from Babcock University in Ogun State, and he works with young people, and we have been discussing the challenge of character formation for our young people. We pray that we may not lose the next generation, but that all of us will put in the effort we must put in to save the next generation, to be a generation that has the fear of God, and generation that will graduate with character and learning.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.